We did Sunbelt East quarterbacks yesterday. Let's do Sunbelt West quarterbacks today. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And the Lord said, let there be light. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, we will go through the West Power Rankings. Probably going to be more controversial. I think you could be one of three guys to be in the number one spot. Maybe the number one spot's going to surprise. We'll see. There are, I think, two sets of transfers in compared to more transfers in the East. And I honestly thought the East was rather obvious. I think Colton Joseph is, at least heading into the season, head and shoulders above everybody else, even though he is just a true freshman. We'll see what Matt Sluka does coming in. He's got much more experience, and he is with a former head coach of his. So we shall see. All right. So I did take a little homerism out of the equation. Was going to put Walker Howard a little bit higher, but we took it a little bit out of the equation, although not completely out. We did put number 7. Let me see if we got this in order. All right, we put Aiden Armenta from ULM number 7. Did show some promise. It took a little bit for ULM to solidify his spot, maybe about 3 games, and he just needs some help. Did have Hardy, like the top running back in the Sun Belt, and he's gone. Braylon McReynolds from South Alabama did transfer in, but he needs some more weapons. He needs probably a better offensive line. It felt like Armenta was running for his life a lot back there, and they just need some more offensive weapons that he can throw to, as it became very one-dimensional for him last year. So we got Aiden Armenta, number 7. Number 6 is a group of guys. This is one big quarterback room, and I don't think I got all of them. All right. This is Texas State. This is a lot of guys. One guy, I think, just got there. Brad Jackson could be the starter. We don't know. Brad Jackson is your freshman returner. All right. He's going to be a sophomore, true sophomore. There you go. Nate Yarnell is a transfer from Pitt. Giovanni, I think I spelled that wrong. That should be Gevani. Giovanni McCoy from Oregon State, and Holden Geriner from Auburn. He was a huge recruit to the Auburn Tigers, and for whatever reason, age, lack of experience, could not get on the field. The problem with that is that it's not exactly, they didn't have a huge, quarterback playing for them. They had Peyton Thorne compared to, say, Carlos Del Rio, say, was at Syracuse. Now he's at Marshall. Well, before it was Garrett Williams, all right, and maybe just Garrett Williams beat him out. But now Kyle McCord was playing for Syracuse this year. Kyle McCord, I believe, led the nation or certainly led the ACC in passing. I don't know about the nation, but he may have led the nation in passing, but he led the ACC in passing yards, set a record for ACC passing yards. Okay, how do you get on the field to get past that? All right, the thing is, if you can't beat out Peyton Thorne, something's not copacetic. All right. So I'm not sure how many years he's got left, but he is going to, he's a big time prospect. We're waiting for him to get on the field. I mean, he was a 4-star as a prospect. As a prospect, he was a 4-star. As a transfer, he's a 3-star for whatever that is. Listed 6'3", 205. I can't see how many. Let me see here. I want to know how many years he was at Auburn. He was there for 3 years, but if one of them is a red shirt, and I don't know how many more years you get eligibility wise, right? You still get 5 years. So he still may have 3 years to go. All right. So he either has 2 or 3 years. So that could be the guy at Texas State, and playing in GJ Kinney's offense, he may light up the scoreboard. So that could be a huge get for GJ Kinney. But anyways, that is a full quarterback room. And again, that's Giovanni, Gevani McCoy from Oregon State, Nate Yarnell from Pitt. Brad Jackson is the incumbent. He's going to be the one telling those guys what's going on at Texas State. And Holden Geriner is a huge prospect that originally went to Auburn and, was there. I don't know if he was a Hugh Freeze. No, I think he was there before Hugh Freeze and stuck around and just couldn't get on the field. Very originally he's a freshman, and then Peyton Thorne comes in and just couldn't get on the field. So now he's at Texas State, kind of like maybe in the same class as Walker Howard. And so we got a couple of guys with a lot of physical maturity, but we'll see what it is with mental maturity. All right. So now that is number 6 is Texas State. It's not specific because we don't know who the quarterback is going to be. All right. Number 5, speaking of such, it is going to be Walker Howard and Louisiana, if that's the guy. We could put some other guys on that list. Lunch is his nickname, along with Daniel Beal. But everybody thinks it's going to be Walker Howard, the former 4-star recruit, highly touted, Jamie Howard's kid. Jamie Howard went to LSU. Walker Howard went to LSU, transferred to Ole Miss. He's now back at home in Lafayette, starred at STM. I think they won a couple of state championships, or at least one state championship. And I think the next year he got hurt. They still may have won that championship, but nonetheless, he won it, I believe, when he was a sophomore. We'll see. Again, could he be what Joe Burrow was for LSU? I'm not talking about winning a national championship. Oh, now they do have a shot about getting into a 12-team playoff. He's been rusty. Obviously, he hasn't played a whole lot at all over the last 3 years. Could he come in and play a little bit above average? That's what Joe Burrow was, nothing but slightly above average quarterback his first year, and then had one of the all-time great seasons in college football. Could Walker Howard do that? All right, to a certain degree. All right, so we shall see. But I got Walker Howard and the Cajuns quarterback at number 5. All right, we will do 3 and 4 as we're ranking the Sun Belt West quarterbacks when we come back, after I tell you about Prizepicks. Let's see. All right. This message is brought to you by Prizepicks, the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prizepicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, Prizepicks has made it easier than ever to win while enjoying all of the football action. Now it's playoff time, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prizepicks. There we go. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less on at least 2 players, and if your pick hits, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. Yes, that's right. 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. For me, it's all about the hot takes this season. This week on Prizepicks, I'm looking at Lamar Jackson for more than 250 passing yards and Saquon Barkley for more than 110 rushing yards. It's fun to predict and easy to play. Plus, with Prizepicks Flex Play, you can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you get your winnings fast, sometimes as little as in 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 for just playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prizepicks. Prizepicks, run your game. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Your teams every day. We are ranking the top quarterbacks in the Western Division. As I mentioned, I did lower my homerism rankings. I was going to have Walker Howard fourth. But we have some more experienced guys started coming around towards the end of the season. So I put them, or at least the room, fourth. That is the Troy quarterback room. Mostly it was Matthew Caldwell. In fact, it was Matthew Caldwell. Goose Crowder got hurt very early in the season, didn't come around. Matthew Caldwell was actually the third-string quarterback, and eventually he did get them on their winning ways. They actually won 3 of their last 4 ball games, took it on the chin against the Cajuns. The Cajuns were a good football team, and that game was actually much closer. It kind of got away from Troy in the fourth quarter. We'll see if Caldwell ends up getting the starting nod. We'll see if it goes back to Goose Crowder. As far as I know, both guys are there. I actually checked 24/7 Sports, and from what I saw, Troy doesn't have a lot of incoming or outgoing transfers. A couple of guys, but it didn't seem like 2 handfuls to me. So as far as I know, both guys are there. And we talked about this. I know there's no, how shall we say, moral victories, but I kind of think there are, because we just wanted to see, right? We wanted to see the tunnel, right? It was not even the light through the tunnel. We just kind of wanted to see the tunnel. And I think we got a little bit more than that. And it started, we may have even seen it in that South Alabama game, started a little bit. South Alabama won that ball game 25-9. South Alabama didn't really play all that well in that ball game. It wasn't all that close. But then Troy gave Arkansas State all they could handle, and Arkansas State won that ball game 34-31. And that may have been the ball game where we didn't really understand what Troy was doing at the end of the game. And then they beat Coastal Carolina 38-24. They went into Statesboro and beat Georgia Southern. They took it on the chin and lost to the Cajuns, but they went down and blew out Southern Miss. So they played really well in 4 out of their last 5 games. That's pretty good. All right. And this team, again, I am much more of a I don't mind admitting it. I am much more of a reasons guy than excuses guy. Other people will give you excuses. I give you reasons. They were banged up. All right. Matthew Caldwell started the season as a third-string quarterback. That's what he was playing. He's third string for a reason. And when you play him for most of the season, there is a reason. All right. Other guys were banged up. I mean, they could get Chris Smith back if he's playing. I'm not sure I've seen that, but he is, I think, recovered from cancer. That would be a huge lift for the team if he decides to continue his football career. All right. From all my understanding is that he's healthy. So we'll see if he decides to come back. This team was a banged up team last year, and the healthier they are, obviously, the more that's going to help the quarterback. We'll see if it is Matthew Caldwell. All right. Who is, I would think, has earned the right to compete for that spot. We'll see if it ends up being Goose Crowder. You certainly can't root for a guy whose first name is Goose. All right. So we're all big fans of that, but that's why we have Goose Crowder and Matthew Caldwell fourth in the Sun Belt West rankings. Number 3. This is where it gets to be a little controversial because you could easily make the argument any one of the next 3 could be number 1. All right. For this one, and we are basing it on, got to base it on a little bit of last year. I'm going to base number 3. Number 3 is going to be Arkansas State's Jaylen Raynor. I thought Jaylen took a big step in 2024 in where they won a lot of close ball games this year. They really did. It didn't seem to matter that he didn't necessarily play all that well at the end of the ball games. They really did. I think they won a bunch of close ball games. They beat Bowling Green by 7. They beat Central Arkansas by 3. They beat Tulsa by 4. They even lost to Michigan by 10. I mean, did they play Michigan closer than Ohio State did? They lost to Michigan by 10. They eked out a victory to South Alabama by 2. They beat Troy by 3. They beat Georgia State by 7. They beat Monroe by 7. They did lose to Old Dominion by 8. They a little bit of a stinker to Old Dominion. They beat Bowling Green in the bowl game by 7. I should be mentioning that. They did lose to Old Dominion at home 40 to 32. All right, a little bit of a stinker there. But I thought Jaylen Raynor did a good job of not trying to make up for the first 3 quarters if he didn't play well and just try to win the ball game. What I'd like to see Jaylen do moving forward is not to be in a better position to where I have that 1-score lead and with 8 minutes left to go, make it a 2-score game instead of trying to put my team ahead at the end of the ball game. All right, that's where they should have been. I thought I would like to see him be a little bit more consistently better. All right, I think he took a big jump in terms of being good late. I'd like to see him be good more throughout, be better, consistently better throughout the ball game. All right. And that was number 3. Okay. So then we did we do them all? Yeah. So we did number 3. All right. So then we have 2 left. All right. So we have the final 2 to go. Did we do number? We did number 4. We did Troy. All right. So we did number 3 and 4. So we will come back. We will reveal the final 2. Not too difficult to narrow them down. Who's going to be number 2 and who is going to be number 1. Again, you could make the argument either one could be number 1 and either one could be number 2. We will do that when we come back after I tell you about FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add something extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's reveal the final 2 Sunbelt West power rankings. And I guess technically I forgot about this quarterback because he was already in the conference, but he did switch divisions. The number 2 ranked quarterback in the West Division is going to be Southern Miss's Braylon Braxton. He is the quarterback. He is your defending Sun Belt champion quarterback, but comes from the other team. Obviously, he didn't start every game. Did towards the end of the season, maybe starting halfway through. 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, plus all the rushing yards as well. But only completes about 60% of his passes, and obviously had an outstanding defense. But I really like the 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That's why I put him ahead of Jaylen Raynor, to be honest with you. I like that touchdown to turnover ratio. So I got Braylon Braxton number 2, and that's why I think Southern Miss is going to be right there behind Arkansas State and South Alabama to contend in the West. I think they are right there with the Cajuns and Texas State. And it's going to be because of Braylon Braxton. We'll see if Troy and ULM are in that spot. I think Southern Miss is right in that next grouping. That's what I think. And I think we'll see if Braylon Braxton, gets that starting nod right from the beginning. No reason not to believe he's going to be the guy from the get-go. And again, starting the season off can make a huge, huge splash. Unfortunately, the way the world works, right? It's going to end up being more about Mississippi State than it will Southern Miss, not on this podcast, but everywhere else. Southern Miss opens up with Mississippi State at home. And if somehow they pull off that game, we know that Jeff Lebby's seat, already probably a little bit on the toasty side, is only going to get a little hotter. Remember, he only won. Mississippi State only won 2 ball games last year, and I believe only one of them was against an FBS squad. So if somehow Charles Huff and Braylon Braxton can lead Southern Miss at home, nonetheless, to a win over Mississippi State, it would be talk about announcing your presence with authority. Charles Huff and Braylon Braxton absolutely have a chance in doing that and giving some outstanding exposure immediately to the Sun Belt opening weekend, August 30th. They're not going to be favored because I don't care about all of the recruits, the quarterbacks, all the players. I mean, here's the thing. Southern Miss won 1 game last year. Mississippi State won 2. All right. The odds makers are still going to see SEC versus Sun Belt. It still shouldn't be a touchdown game. Mississippi State still should not be favored by a touchdown. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to take, not only am I going to take the points you're going to give me, I'm going to take Southern Miss to win the game. I will take the money line. All right. We'll see how good everybody thinks Mississippi State's going to be, but we'll take it. I'll be a Sun Belt homer, and we'll see if we can come away with a sneaky victory. All right. It is a huge opportunity for Southern Miss and Charles Huff to get the ship righted right away. There are other games. They're playing Louisiana Tech September 20th and Jacksonville State September 27th. So I don't know if they're playing some conference games in there, if they're off a week, right? I mean, they got some games like August 30th, right? And then they got September 6th and September 13th. You could be off a week. And then you have a Sun Belt game in there really early before you're playing Louisiana Tech. I don't know. Maybe because Louisiana Tech and Jacksonville State are back-to-back. So you could be off a week in there, have a Sun Belt game. You could have 2 Sun Belt games in there for all I know. we'll see how that goes for Southern Miss. But boy, you could start off the season with a bang. All right, so I got Braylon Braxton as the number 2 quarterback in the Sun Belt. The number 1 quarterback in the Sun Belt. I can't do a drum roll. No, starts off okay, and then I lose rhythm. That's probably genetics. Is Gio Lopez, South Alabama's Gio Lopez. He is explosive both in the air and on the ground. Throws a great deep ball. Was banged up a little bit at the end of the season, so he didn't play in the bowl game. But he is incredibly dynamic when it comes to the statistics. In terms of touchdowns, he had 18 touchdown passes, right behind Braylon Braxton. Does say he played in 11 games. He had 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Did throw for 2,500 yards compared to Braxton's 1,600 yards. But he threw for 66 completion percentage. I think he's outstanding. And again, this is why I think South Alabama and Arkansas State and Southern Miss, we'll see what other people think of Southern Miss. I have Southern Miss and Arkansas. We'll try that again. I have Arkansas State and South Alabama as your preseason favorites. We'll come away with, come August and September, we'll make our picks then. But I think those are the 2 teams that are going to be the top 2. We'll see who else. And South Alabama is doing a good job as of late. They lost their top running back. ULM lost Ahmad Hardy, and South Alabama lost Fluff Bothwell. Ironically enough, he's at Mississippi State. He'll be playing Southern Miss, which is too bad for South Alabama because he's a heck of a player. And so we'll see if Gio Lopez, they also have to replace Jamal Pritchett, who just did get an invite to the Senior Bowl. So he will be, like Carter Bradley, he'll have to show everybody around. He's playing the Senior Bowl in his home stadium down there at Hancock Whitney on the campus of South Alabama. So very cool opportunity for Jamal Pritchett, but another hole for South Alabama to fill. But it just feels like from Jalen Tolbert to Jalen Wayne to Jamal Pritchett, they always seem to find these wide receivers. So I think Gio Lopez is your top quarterback returning. Admittedly, I think you can put 1, 2, or 3. You can flip a coin. But I got Lopez 1, Braylon Braxton 2, and Jaylen Raynor number 3. Please tell me what you believe, how you think the rankings go. Didn't get any pushback too much. Got some filled in information. Zion Turner's offensive coordinator from Jackson State came with him to Marshall, or maybe the other way around. Zion Turner came with the offensive coordinator from Jackson State to Marshall. So good to see. I got some more, I guess. Cam Coleman came from JMU, or came to JMU as another quarterback in the room. So that's interesting as well. So people keep on filling me in. Someone actually said they don't care about my West bias. It's only a West bias because I covered the Cajuns in South Alabama. I just know more about them than the other schools. So that's why it's only bias. That's why I have the podcast, is because I covered those schools a little bit more. Well, not a little bit more. Those are the 2 schools I have covered personally. So I know the people at those institutions. All right. So please let me know what you think about my rankings. We will do basketball on Monday. Texas State with a, not a buzzer beater, but a victory in overtime. South Alabama with a come from ahead victory, almost a complete choke job, but they get the job done against Troy. Arkansas State with a blowout. Louisiana ends up sweeping Monroe. We will go over it. App State continues to stay hot. Another win on the road. Impressive. We will go over it all on Monday. Hope you appreciated the bonus episodes this weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. We had some good reaction. You've been listening and watching to Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Continue to enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you again on a Monday.